All right. What is up, fantasy fans? As always, I'm Shay from the channel Zachary Shay, and here I'm with my good friend Jake from Nerd Level Rising. How are you doing, Jake?
I'm great, man. Thank you for having me. Excited to talk about Grand Conspiracy, finally.
Yes, yes. Very pumped. Yeah, so what'd you think of this one, man?
Uh, Immediately became my new favorite. It was funny.
Mm.
I've been sitting here like reflecting a little bit, and like every book in the series has become my new favorite. And I don't know if that's ever happened with a series for me before. I was trying to think of another time that that's happened, and I really can't.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I remember Jay from Captured in Words was talking about Stormlight once, and he's like, my answer for my favorite Stormlight is always the next one. And ironically, I don't feel that way about Stormlight, even though I love that series. But this is like a series that encapsulates that idea for me the most.
Yeah.
And like I have full confidence going into Peril's Gate that this will probably be better than the last. Like it has been like straight up like I liked Curse a lot. I may have liked that one more than Ships, but then like Warhost I liked more than the two before that, and then Fugitive I liked more than the three before that, and then this is my current favorite.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's wild, man. And like favorite cover for sure that we've
oh
got so
yeah.
far. This
Oh
cover
yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah, even the background, oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
These hardcovers are hard to get your hands on, but they're worth it. The
Oh
artwork
man.
is crazy.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
Yep. So I guess just getting into it, do you want to go full
Yeah.
spoilers talking about this and just dive into it?
We might as well. I mean, I feel like it's hard to do spoiler free stuff this deep in a series.
Right.
Because we've kind of said, I think, most of the non spoiler stuff.
I
Um,
guess my non spoiler thoughts on it is this one definitely to me is the more difficult read of this series, the most difficult read of the series so far, though still I was able to grasp most of what was going on, and probably my favorite climax of the whole series.
ooh,
To include Warhost, I would say. I
ooh,
really there's a specific scene that had me fist bumping, and I guess I'll tell you that when we
yeah,
officially go into spoilers, but
we're gonna have to talk about that because to be honest, I wasn't sure how I felt about the very end. I
okay.
wasn't entirely sure, so we'll definitely be able to get into that a little bit.
All right. So I guess starting off, getting into spoilers, I guess we'll just go like chronologically with how the book proceeded. We get some more Fionn Aerith, which the last time we saw him, like we got a glimpse of that at the beginning of Fugitive Prince. We got the prophecies about fire, salt water, dying on land, and then at the end of the book, we see that Lorenda has some machinations in mind for this child that somewhat resembles Arathon. And then it seems that they kind of put this glamour on Fionn Aerith
Hmm.
to make him resemble Arathon. And you already know that the Coriani have some malevolent machinations going on for this kid. And you see what one thing I found really interesting about all the Fionn Aerith sections was you see how much Alara is struggling with her duty to her order, because before it was just her order versus the man that she's infatuated with, that she's starting to fall in love with. But like in this book, she's like, okay, now y'all are like involving a child in a war with the man I love. Like, how much does this loyalty to this order? And we know that she came from very humble beginnings, that she was like a street rat and that the order
Hmm.
picked her up. And this factors into a lot of her thinking. But I really feel like this book challenged Alara's worldview more than any of the prior books, where she's like, okay, man I love and this child that I've known, I was there when he was born, and
Yeah,
they're pulling him into these plots. So
yeah.
what did you think of all that Fionn Aerith stuff?
I'm with you, dude. Especially it's weird. It's like I almost was more bought into the Alera perspective on the Fionn Aerith stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I didn't like the Fionn Aerith, like that stuff was great, but it was just Alera's struggle that you described there was just uh, I don't know. It's so relatable to be torn between multiple things, right?
Right.
That like you have this duty that you sort of you've sworn oath to. You're dedicated to this thing, but then man, sometimes something changes in life, right? And then all of a sudden you're kind of drawn a different way, and then we kind of heap even more onto that with the kid. And wasn't it here early on when Lorenda first cast that spell on him to make him grow up to look like Arathon,
Mm-hmm.
that she was just like, you know what, if it comes down to it, like I will betray the order to save these guys.
Yeah.
And she was like acknowledging that it would kill her basically, right? to
Mhm.
do that. Um, and it's just I really it's such an interesting love story that we've had. 5 books now of
Mhm.
like we know that these 2 are in love and they do so much for each other, but they're like not together very much.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it makes the scenes where they do interact, like, I believe it was in Ships or Warhost where they heal.
Yeah, that was
They do
great.
that joint healing, and that was
Yeah.
a beautiful moment, and
Uh-huh.
it's just great seeing these glimpses of these 2 characters interacting,
Yeah.
especially with how little they're able to do so.
Right.
What are some other things from the beginning of the book that stood out to you? I know we got some more Sabridian brothers, and after book
Yeah.
4 made you really fall in love with Miern, Perian is not as likable as his younger brother at all.
No, it's I'm trying to remember all of the Sabridian stuff from the beginning because it's been a minute since I read this one. I
Mhm.
remember there was some stuff when they were on the ship and there were sort of like these fake out deaths with the crew or something, right?
Yeah.
But I'm forgetting exactly when that happened. You might have to refresh me on that part with what they were doing.
Um, so there was that stuff with the joiner and
Mhm.
the shipbuilders. There was a fake out death there, and then I remember Perian was going to break Erathon's arm, but he was like, "No, don't take my music from me." So he
Right.
broke his leg
He
so he
broke his leg.
wouldn't.
That's right. Because 'Cause they're still trying to kinda play the line, right? Where like they're working with Erathon now, but they don't want Lysair to know that. And so
Right.
they're trying to, sort of be double agents in a way.
And the Sabridian matriarch was really funny as well. I don't know if
I
that was.
love her.
Yeah, she
I
she was
love her.
hilarious.
I really hope we get more of her in future books, like, she is so cool. Well,
She was
'cause, like
giving a lot of similar energy to, like, the Tyrell matriarch in
yes! That
Song
was
of
my
Ice and
exact
Fire,
thought.
just, like, old and sassy and,
Yes.
like,
My
is
exact same
able
I
to
can't remember her
own
name.
all these young, cocky.
Yeah, yeah. Because 'cause I'm also interested I wonder how much that will play into it because we saw also at the beginning of the book, Lysair took a new wife. This,
Yes.
like, just simple farm, Elaine, right? That,
Mhm,
how do you pronounce her name? Dar, whatever, the,
mhm.
Sabridian, grand dame. I said
Right.
dower because it seemed like it fit the character. But that she was sort of, like, talking to Elaine a lot and trying to kinda show her what's really going on, and
Mhm.
it even more so reminded me of that of, like, talking to Marjorie and, like, okay, now what's is I don't wanna spoil anything that happens in Song of Ice and Fire, but, like, where might Elaine wind up through that
Sort of
sort of
relationship.
relationship? Exactly, yeah, so I'm like, "Hmm, I wonder where that will go."
Dude, so speaking of Elaine, actually, there's one question I wanted to ask you to see where you kind of sit at with. This is something that still lingers in my mind after finishing Grand Conspiracy. So, like, Lysair knows that he's been given this longevity from the well. We see that in Curse of the Mist Wraith. And like Arathon took this as like, I will not sire any children because I will live long after them, and they'll be destined to inherit the Cephallin curse and all this stuff. Whereas Lysair is siring an heir in this book, basically forming no romantic, no, not even a
Uh-uh,
platonic attachment to the mother. He very much uses her and discards her.
yeah,
And I wonder if that is because he knows that he will outlive the mother and the child because of his longevity. And he's just having these children to assuage like his people because they're like, oh, yeah, king needs an heir. So he's siring an heir. Or does he just believe that this prophecy is a lie? Because anytime anyone talks about anything magic, he's just like, oh, that's all a hoax. That's not real. So I don't know if he doesn't believe in the prophecy or if he knows he will outlive his own child and he just knows that this is what he has to do to be king and to have the Alliance of Light. And if that's the case, is that why he's keeping the mother and child at a distance? Or is that just a reaction to the way things turned out with Talith?
that's a great question. Um, how do I feel about that? I do think I remember there being a line when, um where Lysair and Elaine were doing it, and there was a line about Lysair, like, still grieving Talith, basically.
Right.
So, like, he wasn't over it, but he was doing this thing because he felt it was the best or that he had to or whatever. So I think that's at least part of it, the Talith stuff.
Mhm.
um, that's really interesting to think about, you know, him being aware of his long life. I wonder if it's because he's trying to gain more and more nations behind him.
Right.
So maybe it's like, if I have an heir, I can put them on the throne in what, like maybe he'll rule from Avenor, but he can go put so and so in Tyson or in Itara or whatever. That
Right.
I wonder if it's something like that to like secure the power more deeply, or to do something with the like religious stuff with like with the light, and like
Yeah.
is he trying to like strengthen the feeling of he is this divine being, and they would look at his whole family that way, or so, I don't know.
Even in
That's
Fugitive
so
Prince, they
interesting.
were, like, very, like, "Why hasn't Tal sired an heir?" And we
Yeah.
see that, like, some of the people of Avenor are like, "Where's the baby at, though?"
Does
And
anyone know?
that he's long-lived?
Yeah. Does any of the other people know? Because maybe he's just doing it so that they don't think anything's up with him or something.
I don't know. I sometimes I read it and I don't even know if Lysair knows. Like, I know he's been told, but he's very obstinate. And like
Yeah.
if the fellowship are like, "You're now gonna live for 500 years," he's gonna be like, "Well, obviously, sorcerer, everything you say is lies. Meanwhile, I'm partnered with a bunch of women sorcerers
Yeah.
and extorting them to help me in my
Yeah.
plots." But
And we're just gonna straight up use magic now in this book.
yeah,
Like that. I mean, not to skip ahead, but like there's some stuff that he's very okay with doing that like very hypocritical. So I don't know.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to detract from or derail from what you were saying.
Oh, no, I
But
mean,
that's such an
you are
interesting
right.
question though.
His use of magic, but I mean, we also got like a 15, 16-year time jump in this,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I guess that's enough time for a lot of people to buy in, so him
True.
using the magic and being
Yeah.
more upfront about his different abilities, I guess.
Yeah. And
I guess
everyone's so scared
everyone's
of Arathon too, that they're like, because he's framing everything as like this is to help us find Arathon, and this is to help us take
right.
down the spinner of darkness and all this stuff. Um, and like Cerebeld, who can is like telepathic basically. It seems like he can do talk to Lysair, and like there's that, which I see that that's like an easy foot in the door of
Mhm.
like this isn't that big a deal, guys. This is just to help our armies coordinate it, And then we get all the Riot Raven stuff. That dude is creepy,
Yeah,
and like it's another one that I really want to get more of, because like that
same.
the stuff with the baby dragon skulls, like all of it was crazy. But that was like a big legit. We're just using magic now, kind of thing.
Yeah. And dude, it's interesting. I forgot about Cerebeld until you mentioned his name just now, but he was first of all, he felt kind of worm tongue coated a little bit, but he
Mm.
also seems like he's like in love with Lysair a little bit, like
Ooh,
enamored by his power. Like I remember when Lysair was bathing and Cerebeld was like kind of ogling him a little
yeah,
bit,
that's right. That's right.
like a mix of like being in love with him, but also like revering him as a god.
Yeah.
And yeah, very high priest of my cult type
Yes.
energy. So
Yes. Very much so. Yeah. Um, and after the time jump too, when we see Lysair's kid,
mhm,
Kevor, I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. It's in the book. I should just look it up. But I always complain about not knowing how to say things, and someone finally puts pronunciation guides, and I forget to use it. But we see him like uh, start to make a name for himself, basically, right, and like gain some respect, which
mhm,
is uh, cool, kind of worrisome maybe for Elaine.
mhm.
She's not that comfortable with him going out and doing stuff on his own. I mean, he's really young, which is so that's fair.
Right.
But he's got that like bluster of like, no, I'm Lysair's son, and I can do this, and the people obviously are trying to rally behind him. And again, not to skip ahead, but like there's something really big that happens towards the end, and he like takes charge and like really keeps the people calm and salvages the situation. And I thought
Mhm.
that was again just such a good instance of him really gaining the respect of the people around him. And I'm curious on if that's going to be like a political respect, or if that's like a religious thing, because he was like holding
Mhm.
a candle. That was like the symbolism he was using. And it's like, well, how much of this is just going to be like Is he going to be the new Lord of Light in some way? Uh, is there going to be some conflict between Lysair and him? Is Lysair going to be like, "Hey, dude, like you're stealing my thunder. This isn't
Right.
cool," or is it just going to be a great partnership? I don't know. I have so many questions about where that's going to go with the son, and also that I didn't even think about the angle of it that you just brought up. Just like, well, why did he even have a son? If he knows he's long lived, maybe he doesn't believe it. Maybe he would. That's like a whole other layer.
Yeah, that is the only reason I think that's at the forefront of my mind when I'm reading it is because I know that that is well, there's also the Cephallin curse, but I know that that longevity is at the forefront of Erathon's mind when he thinks
Yeah,
of siring children, and I guess that just shows the juxtaposition between these two brothers that, like, maybe Lysair I think he is thinking about it. He has to have in the 15, 16 years that his son has been alive, it had to have crossed his mind at least once or twice.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I definitely think there will be conflict between father and son, but I guess we won't know till we read on,
yeah.
but
We'll see.
I
We'll
don't I
see.
don't think they have a great relationship thus far.
No, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it. Um, I'm also curious about what sort of parallels can we look at to compare between Lysair and Cavor with Erathon and Fionn Aerith.
Mm,
Like when they kind of get together towards the end, like also not a great relationship.
yeah.
But I wonder if is that gonna be sort of de facto father son kind of thing moving forward? I have no idea, but that would be an interesting to compare how those would go.
Yeah. I agree. We kinda have our, like, mini Spinner of Darkness, mini Lord of
Yeah,
Light.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I loved the stuff with Fionn Aerith and Erathon when they finally met up, and the big, like, climactic thing that I was talking about was, like, my favorite was when there kept being references to the headhunter had to cover his face so that the
Mm,
people wouldn't attack him and stuff. They kept referencing the headhunters covering his face, and I'm like,
yeah,
are they about to do this? And then Erathon was the executioner,
yeah.
and that moment was like I called it a little bit right before it happened, but it was still just like the execution of that moment where you like see Fionn Aerith, he's about to get beheaded, and then it's Erathon. I that moment blew me away.
That was
Um,
great. That was really great. Yeah, I love
epic,
that too. It was
epic.
epic, and it surprised me. I didn't call it. I was just like, "Oh, whoa!" So
Yeah.
it felt like watching a movie, because it was so tense, and I was just like, "When's Arathon? Like it's now or never, bro. You got to come save this kid." Uh,
Mhm.
and I didn't think he was gonna make it, but there he was.
I mean, I called it, but there's a lot of things in these books that I call and then never happen. I remember way back in Fugitive Prince, the whole like prophecies about Fionn Aerith and stuff. Like I thought Kaol was gonna survive and then like train Fionn Aerith. Like I had all
Mm,
these theories that were just way off.
yeah,
So the executioner thing, I'm like, what if Erathon impersonated that guy? And I'm like, nah. I there are so many times in this series, like I thought Talith was definitely going to be around for longer than Fugitive Prince.
yep,
So,
me
but that
too.
was like my first one in a while that I actually got one. So,
Good for you. Good for you. But Fionn Aerith still got trained somehow, right? Like he still is a really good swordsman, and
mhm,
um, tried to go out in the world, and that didn't go very well. But it's like he was this close to joining Lysair's army, also, which I thought was interesting.
mhm,
Which sort of narrowly avoided that. Um, I don't. His journey was interesting, right? Like I had a great time sort of watching his downfall. Doesn't feel like the right word, but he just felt like he got so full of himself when he was like training and he beat the sword master, and he's like, yeah.
yeah,
And he was so like such a 13-year-old boy, right? Where he's just like, I'm gonna conquer the world, no one get in my way. And like I think that's part of why he doesn't like Arathon, right? Is because he felt like he got overshadowed. And
right,
like he was destined for more, and then Arathon swoops in and he's so much more important. And I don't even look like my own person anymore. I just look like this guy who's even more important than me. And that's the only reason I'm important is because I look like him. And it's like this weird like I've been there, right? Where you think you're so important and then you kind of realize the world's a lot bigger than your little tiny bubble. That was a fun, like not pleasant, but a fun, interesting thing to read.
mhm. And speaking of that, there's that scene where he's like asking Erathon, he's like, "Why are you wearing my face?" And he's like, "Who do you think's wearing whose face right now?" And he kind of starts to realize like, oh my gosh, like my entire existence has been for this ruse. It was never about me. It was always about
Mhm.
this other guy. And I mean, obviously, I feel like if I were put in that situation, I would have some animosity towards the spinner of darkness, even if it wasn't
Yeah,
his plan to use me. It's
sure.
like because of you, my life was dedicated to this ploy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still just so unfair, and it, like, took his whole childhood away from him, right?
Mhm.
Um, he didn't I guess he didn't know it at the time, but now he knows. Um,
But to be fair, it got him like if it hadn't have been for the Coriani having these plans for him, he wouldn't have been a trained swordsman. He never would have left
true.
home.
That's
And
true.
he could have a good life. Well, probably not considering the prophecies, but potentially,
Yeah, that's
potentially
true. That is very true. Yeah, I mean, I think we read the prophecies when we did the Fugitive Prince chat, but we just kind of
Mhm,
talked before we started recording. For anyone listening, like we kind of rehash them, and it's basically like he has to die at some point. Like
mhm.
depending on how he dies, it's something else might happen. But if he lives into old age, the world is doomed. Is like
Right.
the end of the prophecy. So he's got to die at some point, and it's just going to be interesting to see how he dies because that'll have other effects, right? So, which was a nice reminder for me too as I continue keeping an eye on that stuff. What do you think of like after Arathon reveals himself as the executioner, and like now they gotta get out of the city somehow?
Mhm.
How did you feel about that whole? I thought that sequence was so fun. It felt very like
Oh,
swashbuckling and like Pirates of the Caribbean. Like it was just like, oh, this is cool.
it gave me vibes of like ships and Warhost where like Dakar would be going like to the different cities and they have to get out and like it just gave earlier books Arathon and Dakar energy, but
Yeah,
with this young kid.
yeah,
So I very much love that. I think Pirates of the Caribbean is a super apt analogy there. Like that's exactly how I felt.
yeah. I picked this part out, and I don't know what you think of this. So they're trying to get through the city, right? And the
Mhm.
Koreani are like trying to not let them escape,
Right.
and they're going and they find this house that they run into, and I jotted this down. It's this old woman who's covered in these horrible like burn scars,
Oh
and her
yeah.
servant named Jask. They shelter them like they're friends to the Fellowship. They don't want the Koreani to get them.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, who is this old lady? Why do we not know her name? Because we know that Janny tends to like give names to important characters. If they don't
Right.
matter that much, she'll just call them the stable boy or whatever.
Right.
But like the old woman seems super important, but we didn't get her name yet. But we did get the servant's name. And I'm like,
Ooh.
what's up with this? Who are these people? Why do they know what's going on? Why do they want to help? What's their history with both sides? Like I'm super interested, and we didn't really get any answers, but I'm super interested in those guys.
Well, we did find out that she was originally supposed to go to the Coriani and that because
Yes,
of their
you're right.
machinations, because she denied them, they manipulated things to where the townspeople put her in the pyre. So
That's
like
right.
all of her I think
That's
that's
right.
why she was a fellowship sympathizer is because the Coriani like
Yeah.
scarred her for life. Um, but we
Yeah.
don't get
Thank
a
you for
lot
bringing
on
that
the
up.
yeah. Yeah. To be fair, I was super late to finishing this one, so Jake was actually
I was
on
early.
time.
When did I read this? Like November or something, I think.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute. Yeah. But
Thank
I'm
goodness you took
glad you're
notes
here.
because I sabotaged you by finishing it, like, 5 months later.
Oh well. It's all good.
But, yeah,
Um
I know she was scarred by them, and there was something about, like, Arathon being typical Arathon, empathy Arathon, look past
yeah.
the scars to see the woman inside, which is, what he always be doing.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Um,
I
but I don't think we've seen the last of them.
I hope not. I
Definitely,
hope not.
I definitely don't think so.
Yeah. That was in J-Lot, is that right?
Mhm. I
Yeah.
believe so.
Um
I'm so bad at keeping fantasy world locations
there
in
yeah,
my
there's a lot. Um I need to ask how you felt about the very end because so they're hiding out. It's like this cat and mouse thing, right? They're trying to get away from the Koryani and get out of the city. And they get to, and please correct me if I get any of these details wrong.
Mhm.
We get to the gate to get out, and Alera's there.
Right.
And she's like, this is her deciding she's going to help them get out, even though it'll cost her her life. And Arathon's just like, no, babe, I can't let you do that, right? And so
Mhm.
he sort of refuses to let her die, which great, super romantic, love it. I was like, oh no, is he going to try to sacrifice himself somehow? Like, what's going on? And Lorenda's kind of been the one behind all this stuff.
Right.
And the way that they get out is he just walks up and kisses Lorenda, and then they're able to leave because she's like distracted and swooning or whatever. And I'm like, at first I was just like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. This feels too easy. This is weird. But then I think the description that we get, if I'm remembering correctly, is that Lorenda has like gone this whole super long life without love and affection and all these things. And so like when she's presented with it, she doesn't know how to, she just freezes. She doesn't know how to react.
And presented with it from the person she hates with the most vitriolic passion.
Yeah.
Like she despises this man. And, that is a scene that if you were to describe it point blank, doesn't sound like it would work. And it was only like really with Janny's prose. And I'd have to go back and read it to see how I really feel about it. It really did work for me within the
Yeah.
scene. But I think most other authors could not have made that scene work, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I remember getting a vibe that Lorenda hates him, but I'm like, is she kind of in love with him a little bit? Like there was I remember getting some vibe about like she's confusing those feelings for like ambition to capture him, but like she actually just wants to be around him. And like maybe I'm totally
Mm.
off base. I don't remember what gave me that vibe, but I remember jotting that down because I was just like, huh, maybe her feelings are more complicated towards him. And
That would
that's also
definitely
part
make
of
that
why.
scene make a lot more sense. So I think you're probably
Yeah.
onto something. I would say I didn't pick that up, but I don't think that's nothing.
Okay.
Looking back
Yeah.
retroactively, I'm like, yeah, that seems right. That seems
We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it was one that right when I read it, I was just like, oh, I don't know. But then the more I think about it, the more I'm like, you know what?
because
It does work. It does fit.
you can't just say that she's trying to honor her orders ambitions, and because like even Moriel Prime at times is like back off on this,
Right.
and Lorenda's like no, he's gonna destroy everything the order stands for, and she's kind of obsessed with him
Yeah.
low key
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
So I think there's something there,
Okay.
but I'd
We'll
have to go
see.
back and like look at it or just
Yeah.
operate with that moving on with Peril's Gate.
Yes. Um, I'm not going to say anything about the beginning of Peril's Gate. It
Yeah,
doesn't confirm or deny my thought, just to be clear. Like it's still very much who knows.
right.
But that's quite. Is this Alera then on the back in the gate?
I was thinking about that.
Because when I first picked up the book, I was like, is this like a ghost? Like what's going on? Like where are we gonna go? Because I hadn't read the book yet, obviously, and I was like, oh, what's this? Is this? But now I look at it, and this feels like the scene when they're escaping from Jaylat and they go through the gate and like they're out in the snow and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, so I feel like that's got to be her. But for whatever reason, I went through the whole book expecting to see a ghost somewhere, and there wasn't one. It looks
It's got to
cool
be
regardless.
Alera.
It's got to be. Because I mean, like with the lighting,
Beautiful
you can
cover,
tell.
by the way. Beautiful
Oh,
wraparound
gorgeous.
cover. Insane detail.
Yeah, and you can tell that like super pretty, but like not like otherworldly. So, which I think fits her description. Her hair
Mhm.
seems light and kind of that kind of bronze color that we know is her. Um, Seems like it fits to me. I don't know.
Dude, if we ever get like special editions, whether that be through Broken Binding or some other avenue, through a Kickstarter, whatever, I
Yeah.
think one of my biggest things more than like additional art pieces would be like note pages where Janny breaks down her covers, breaks down these different
Ooh.
things. Like, because every single time we talk about the cover, she mentions like there's so much y'all aren't catching on to. So I would love just like 2 pages of like, and this is this, and this is this.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, a big part of it is like we know what these statues are now, and that's
Yeah.
fun. But
Uh-huh.
it's like it would be even cooler to like after trying to deduce everything to just get it point blank, like this is the things you missed.
Yeah. That would be if we could get like I don't know her version of the Silmarillion that's like history of the world, but also that stuff.
Yeah.
So cool. That'd be so cool.
And I feel like if she had like these deluxe editions, she would want it to be, if not her art, then closely adhering to her vision for the character. She's very purposeful with like her character art and
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah,
So
and the attention to detail is like I was looking at the Perils Gate one, like 120 pages in or whatever, and like I'm not at the scene where the cover is depicting, but like
right.
I can already see now that I've seen some things. When I look at the cover, I'm like, oh, that's what this is, or that's what, you know. So it's like you can connect these. They're just tiny little details that seem like they wouldn't matter that much, but they just tie everything together so well, and it
Mhm.
really. I really appreciate seeing that attention to detail from an artist. It's just like you care so much about this, right? It's just awesome. Makes me like it even more.
And speaking of the covers, to switch gears a little bit and talk about the title. So, what do you think the
Yeah.
titular Grand Conspiracy is in reference to? Because I was thinking about this right before we started chatting, and I'm like, really, Fugitive Prince was the book where we saw the Alliance of Light sort of establish itself, or at least begin to. So, I didn't know if this was in reference to the Alliance of Light or the Grand Conspiracy is in reference to the machinations of the Coriani or maybe the Fellowship, because we got a lot of Coriathian stuff in this one. Like those,
Yes.
they were up to some shenanigans in this one.
They
So
are indeed. Yeah, I think it's got multiple meanings if I had to guess. Like the I think the plot with Fionn Arith, I think is a big thing. Like
mhm,
that seems to fit with me. I think
okay,
like you mentioned the Coriathian stuff with Moriel and like what she ends up doing, which I really want to talk to you about because that's probably my favorite part of this whole book. That like her plots that sort of is even like this weird like 4D chess thing even over the Fionn Arithon stuff.
mhm,
Um, and just the reaching effects of that, like that feels like grand to me, right? So I feel like it could be related to that. I still feel like there's something that we don't understand about the Fellowship that's going to be really not good. And I wonder if there's like some conspiracy that like we really I just keep coming back to this thing. We really think that they're the good guys, and I just don't know that they're actually the good guys. Maybe they are, and I'm just like projecting, but I don't know. It feels like the example that comes to mind, the comparison is like reading Book of the New Sun. It's like you hear everything has layers of symbolism, so we kept guessing at these different symbolisms, and it's like how much of this is just jumping at shadows that we think there's going to be a thing, so we pretend that there's a thing, but maybe it actually is just really simple. I wonder if I'm doing that with this, with the Fellowship, that maybe they really are just the good guys,
mhm.
and I'm like, I know Jenny likes to play with their expectations, so maybe they're not or whatever. I don't know, but like maybe there's something like that that's just like super like under the table and we won't even know that it was here until we get a few books down.
Mhm.
I don't know. That's kind of I guess even on a smaller level you can say like the Cybridians have this sort of conspiracy going on where they're these double agents and there's like all the hidden stuff on both sides for them, and I don't know. That's where my head goes, at least.
I think I think there's something going on with both the Fellowship and the Paravians that is just not what we're expecting.
Mm.
And Janie has told me personally that like Perils Gate is the book that really like shifts the series and alters, like she's been telling me since I was on ships that Perils Gate is the one that really turns the series on its head. So I guess I feel like we're very close to those revelations. Um maybe from your smile I'm like maybe you know something I don't.
I don't think I do. I'm just excited that we're close. Yeah.
And I don't know. I keep having this is probably just a way off base theory thought, but I'm like, when Deshthir was caged, it was mentioned that there were multiple wraiths, and the Paravians are just gone. I don't know why, but I think that like the Paravians are Deshthir or are part of that, or there's something going on there because we keep getting references to that vial that is holding Deshthir's presence
Mhm.
and how it's moving. And I don't know, not that they are Deshthir. I'm going back on that already, but I think there's something malevolent about the Paravians that we're not privy to. Like
Mm.
there's because remember when we had our Curse of the Mistwraith discussion, we both went back to that scene, before we had the discussion about how the Pravian like was seeing Deshthir being banished and how it almost seemed kind of
Yeah.
skittish, like, oh, this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
So like I don't know why the restoration of the Paravians and the banishment of Deshthir would be seen as a negative by a
Mhm.
Paravian. I don't know. I don't know.
Seems like a
And
good thought to me. I don't know, but because we know that the wraiths are. Was that in Fugitive Prince or in this one when was it Caradmon that was like he's trying to guard that gate where they keep trying to get through?
oh
And
yeah.
so like we know that there's a bunch of these wraith things that there's like this other splinter world where the Mist Wraith originally came from that they
Mhm.
sealed, and now they keep trying to get through. So like bare minimum, it at least has that level of complexity to it. And like you're saying, there's got to be something with the Pravians
Right.
that like I'm with you on that. There's got to be something going on.
And whatever's going on with them, the Fellowship probably know more about it than they're letting on.
Probably so. Yep.
Dude, speaking of I was just the random thought when we were talking briefly before this, you brought up that Moriel is trying to get humanity back to space travel, you know, back to getting to the technological point where humanity can travel the stars again.
Yeah.
And it seems like the Fellowship is very set on like keeping that from happening. They think the best bet humanity has is Athera, and
Hmm.
to live within the confines of the compact that the Paravians have laid out. But
Yeah.
like if you think about it, like when you mentioned the wraiths trying to get through, it's like for the Fellowship to be so dead set on like this is humanity's last refuge, Athera. There are horrifying things trying to get through every single gate in every
Yeah.
single one of these books. Like
Yeah.
every book, there's a section where the Fellowship are like playing damage control at all the different gates.
Yeah.
And it's just like, is this really the best refuge humanity could find? I mean, I don't know, but like,
I don't know
it
either.
seems like you're stopping a cataclysm every other page,
It
guys.
does. Yeah. Yeah. This is not seeming like that great of a place. Um, I yeah, I don't know. And that's I don't know what to make of all that. It's it's one of those things that makes me want to just read these books even faster just to figure it out.
Mhm.
Um, 'Cause I just really want to know, and I want to know more of the space travel stuff. Like we've gotten so little. We had that quick reference in book 4. Yeah,
The
we had the quick
Kincaid.
yeah, we had the quick Kincaid reference in book 4. And then
Mhm.
here it was a little bit more explicit about like more I jotted down the quote, but it was something about Moriel was where is it? Believed that the Paravians stole and hid the knowledge of space travel from humans. And she
Mm.
wants to break the compact with the Paravians to reclaim that knowledge. So it's much more explicit now. And I guess we can talk about like we get more about this in the Sundering Star short story that you and I had both read. So we kind of knew that we could watch out for those things.
Mhm.
Um, but I want to know so much more about that because that's just the like, is this actually a sci-fi series? Like
And
it's
especially with
weird.
what we know from the Sundering Star short story that really kind of busted it wide open.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I feel like Moriel viewing the Pravians as stealing the secrets to space travel. I mean, we know that the compact excluded all technology beyond gunpowder, which I'm assuming, nuclear weapons, space travel is included in that.
Sure.
So from the Paravians and Fellowship's point of view, it's like, no, that because of the destruction that this technology has wrought, for you to seek refuge on our planet, you have to give up these things. But the Coriani, they have memories, especially the Prime has memories going back to before humanity even found Athera. So from
Hmm.
their point of view, the Paravians stole this knowledge. I guess the truth would probably be somewhere in the middle. But
Probably.
what gets me is the Fellowship. I feel like they're acting like the best chance humanity has is for us to get with what the Paravians are saying and live on Athera,
Yeah.
whereas the Coriani want to take that bet and say that there is a better planet out there for humanity.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if the Fellowship really think that this is the best avenue for humanity is to live on Athera, or if their loyalty to the Praevian supersedes that of humanity as a whole, which I think is probably the case. They seem
I think so too.
a lot more concerned with the Praevians than they are humanity.
Yeah, I think so. Because they even mentioned another thing we talked about earlier before we recorded. They even mentioned that if humanity threatened to like break their compact with the Pravians, they would just wipe out humanity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, I'm so glad we're talking about this because this is really like solidifying what could potentially be like the actual major conflict of the story,
Yeah.
or at least one of the major conflicts, like really big picture stuff. So, which I hadn't really formalized. Like all the pieces were in my brain, but I hadn't like put it together and formalized it. So I'm very glad that we're talking about this. This is like
Same
now I
here.
have even more to think about as I'm going through the rest of these.
You gave me some more jigsaw pieces as well to
Go.
put the puzzle together.
Watch Janny see this and be like, "You guys are dumb, and that you're way off base."
Y'all thought y'all were cooking, you burned everything. Like I don't know, because like day in, day out reading the books, I'm definitely more on the side of the Fellowship. But
Mhm.
it's like if you took both of these groups and had asked each of them to choose humanity or some other power, I have more faith that the Coriani would choose humanity.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's weird.
Even
That's
though
weird.
they're assholes.
Yeah.
Like, for lack
But
of a
like
better
Alera's
term.
cool, but she's kind of different, you know.
Mhm.
I don't know. Um, Speaking of that, I got to talk to you about this Moriel stuff. This was my favorite part of the book.
Okay, I think you probably picked up on more of it than I did, so I'm gonna let you lead here.
Okay, so it feels like it's like this weird plots within plots.
Mhm.
So Moriel knew that Lorenda was doing this thing with Fionn Aerith, and she
Right.
let her do it. Um, and I think it was because she had bigger plans and she wanted the Fellowship to be distracted.
Right.
So she let all this play out. She let all the escape, whatever, J-Lot, all this stuff, so that she could focus on casting this spell because she's really old. She's 1,000 years old. She's dying, and we've had this, especially in Fugitive Prince, that was a big focus. Like, who's going to take over? Is it Lorenda? Did she earn it or not? And then she kind of fell out of favor in a big way, and we have all of this like, who's going to take over now? And here we see it's this new girl, Celody,
Mhm.
who is like not very. She's kind of dumb and like not very good at this, and is so new. She hasn't learned all these different things.
Wait, so are you saying that like Moriel put her consciousness?
Yes, that is 100% what I'm saying.
Oh my god.
So
I
I,
completely missed that. When you were talking about her playing 4D chess, I'm like, I'm
yep.
gonna need him to elaborate so I don't look dumb. But I just have to acknowledge that completely. Like I remember right before the Lorenda Arathon kiss scene, we got the new Prime,
Uh-huh.
and I remember it was the young girl, and I remember the whole time I'm like, I must have missed something because I don't know what's going on in this scene, and that definitely. Now that you mentioned that, I don't know how I missed that. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, so like we had that, and we knew that Lorenda didn't like that. So I think she wanted to keep Lorenda out of the way to not interfere.
Mhm.
And then that kind of worked out for her that Lorenda was doing that. She was keeping the Fellowship and Arathon busy so she could get this spell rocking. When she does it, again, some of my favorite writing in these books is when Janny's writing about the magic. And it's
Right.
just so like otherworldly and whatever. But this is like scary and it's destroying so much stuff. And it's
Right.
like it's damaging all of like the lanes of power. It's like getting all the Grimwards are like, uh-oh, this isn't, very safe anymore. It's like
And I
shaking loose
remembered
the
all the shifts because of the spell that she wrought, but I didn't
Mhm.
know that she was transferring her consciousness into the other.
Yeah. I don't think it was clear until afterwards. Like
Okay.
it seemed like she was just like, doing something destructive is what it
Right.
seemed to me anyway. And we have all these bad things happening. And like now that the at Rockfell, the Mistwraith is like, uh-oh, we got to go seal this thing again. And the at Myrtlevein, stuff's getting loose. And so the Fellowship now has to scatter and take care of all this stuff, leaving her more free to now do this thing, to where like her body dies, her consciousness transfers, uh, and and like that's just such a crazy thing. And then that also is what's causing, if I'm remembering correctly, all the issues with why the people where Lysair's son is, why they're all panicking, and how he's able to calm them down. So it ties it back into that part and how he's able to kind of gain the people's favor in that way. It tied everything in the whole book together for me. And like, if I had to pick one reason why this book is called Grand Conspiracy, I think it's that. I think it has the multiple meanings, but I think that that's the biggest piece. And it was just the coolest thing. And like the way that the Fellowship tried to respond, but they had to do all this other stuff, and it felt like they were trying to counter it, but they really were just scrambling to keep things together. And we got a mention of one of the Grimoires where the like king dragon is, and like we didn't really hear anything else, but it's just like, oh, like what's going to happen with that? What was the name, like a Kraken or something, which is a really cool name. There was just so much like effects after it, and because like no one knows, right? No one knows that her consciousness is transferred, so everyone thinks that so like she successfully faked her death. Fellowship
so many people didn't know that I didn't know. I did not pick up on that, but you're absolutely right. Like looking back on it, I'm like, how did you? I think I was so zeroed in on the Arathon escaping the city that I wasn't even paying attention to, like, I read that chapter on autopilot, and now I'm like, damn, you missed such a massive point, and that's crazy. That's crazy. That's probably my biggest takeaway from this conversation is just like, what? Oh man.
That's awesome. I'm so glad I got to witness that. That was so cool.
Oh man.
We also got Davian the Betrayer. We got him in this book finally. So we're seeing more of those other Fellowship people. It seemed like I was looking through my notes before. It seemed like he didn't do much. They just like tried to contact him and he didn't answer, but then on his own he was kind of watching at least. So at least we know he's alive.
Yeah.
And I think he's also discorporate, right? Like Luhane and Caradmon are.
He did feel discorporate.
Hold on, I wrote down what happened. If I can find it again. So this ties back into one of the other short stories. I think it was the first one, the Decoy, I think. Anyway, where we learned that he was made discorporate, so he was stripped of his physical body and exiled by the Fellowship because he worked to overthrow the High Kings long ago.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, why? Why did he do that? And so like I have so many more questions about this dude.
Yeah, is this kind of like a is Janny trying to make us think like Davian the Betrayer, like bad dude, just that title sounds like he's nefarious, but like maybe he had good reasons for doing this?
Yeah. Maybe he's the good guy.
Yeah.
He's the good guy who betrayed the bad guys, the Fellowship, maybe. I don't know. But like, so we haven't seen Silidus the Lost yet, unless he was the guy in book 1 when the unicorn was there that we mentioned.
I think that was him.
Yeah, that's my guess too.
Operative theory at the moment.
I think he's the only one we haven't really. We got a quick mention of him somewhere, didn't we? It was like towards the beginning. One of the mages was trying to get this. What was it? It was some kind of focus thing to scry and see what was happening, or it was some kind of magical artifact that it was created by Silidus. I remember that, but I don't remember more than that. So maybe he was some sort of craftsman or something. I don't know.
But slightly topic shift, but going back to the knowledge bomb that was L'Oreal forcing her consciousness on, what was her name again?
Celidie.
Yeah. I feel like, so I'm going to touch up on another thing I didn't realize until this book. Thankfully, I realized it before this conversation, but I didn't realize it till reading Grand Conspiracy, is that the Coriani, the gems that they use are conscious beings. Like there's a point in this story where Arathon says he clutched the gem with the reverence for the soul housed inside it, or for the consciousness. Anyway, the Coriani are using these gems, and there's a couple times throughout this book where they reference that there's a consciousness inside these gems that they use. And there's tons of references to like the amethyst, the emeralds, all these different gems that they're using. I'm sure they all mean different things that we just don't know yet. I'm pretty sure with how intentional Janny is with details, I doubt amethyst doesn't mean something different than another gem.
Yeah.
But they're using these gems for their magic, and we're led to believe that these gems have some form of consciousness. We have Moriel infringing upon this other Coriani's free will by putting her consciousness into her. We know that Alara doesn't have free will because if she acts if she acts outside of the confines of her pact with the Coriani, she will die. So it seems like the Coriani just like do not care about free will
No.
at this point. They do
Yeah.
not even a little. They're not even pretending to care about it.
No. And like I'm glad you picked that out too about the like living souls or whatever within the stones, because I missed that when I was reading this. So I'm glad that you picked that out. It's good for me to keep in mind. And you're right though. There was even what was that, book 3 or book 4, when they got the Waystone back and they were trying to like experiment with it, and like even the Fellowship was
You're like
even
tampered with it.
yeah. Because it was something like they don't want them to even like damage the ground, because like
Right.
well, the ground didn't consent, and just like the world is very alive. It felt, the world has to give permission to do certain things or whatever. And but even like with that, the Coriani don't care about free will. So I think you're spot
Right.
on, and that's a really interesting contrast to the Fellowship, who are like completely hamstrung by free will. Like they can't interfere with that
Right.
at all. So it's there's so many of these. Janny planned this so well. Like I have no idea where this can go, because it's like who's good and who's bad. Don't even know that. Let alone like this side can do these things but not these things. This side can do different things but not other things. It's just it's so the interaction is so interesting to
Right.
me. I love
Same.
how she did it. Yeah.
Same. And so interesting also where she brought us into the story, like way back in Curse of the Mistwraith. Like this story, like we're introduced to this world as the two brothers are, but like this conflict between Coriani and Fellowship has been going on for hundreds
Yeah.
of thousands of years.
Old.
And oh man, just the way it was introduced and the way the layers were peeled back. But it makes sense seeing how the Coriani treat free will. I understand why their goals and their goals and their actions align more with Lysair, and why the Fellowships align more with Arathon.
Yeah.
Because Arathon's the same way. He's all about free will, empathy. Even when Talith is like, "You evil monster," he's like, "Oh, this poor woman who's not
Yeah.
getting the love she deserves."
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas, like, I feel like Lysair and Coriani are very much like the strong rule,
Yeah.
powerful
Yes.
rule.
Yes, I
Moriel,
do.
she didn't think like, "Oh, I'm infringing on this young girl's free will." She goes, "Well, she was more powerful. She could have stopped me."
Right. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess we kind of leave off with just like all those pieces, right? Like what's happening with that with the Coriani, now that they have this new prime, they don't know that it's her.
Mhm.
Arathon and Fionn Aerith like just escaped, but we don't know, are they actually escaped, or are they gonna get wrangled again right after they get out of the gate? Like what's going on? Are they, what's going on with that? Lorenda's like in this weird position now.
Mhm.
The Fellowship is scrambling, trying to fix stuff. Like it's just like this kind of. I'm trying to think of a uh comparison, but it feels like this is the book where it's like we end and just everything is just broken, and we got to
Yeah.
see in the next book, like, because the next book is going to be the middle book of not just the entire series, but like the Alliance of Light arc.
Right.
So I have to believe things are going to get worse before
Yeah.
they get better. So I'm like, all right, well, how is this going to fall apart even more?
Mhm.
And I guess we will have to read and find out.
Yeah. I wonder, with this being the turning point book, are we going to get more on the Fionn Aerith prophecies, or if this is just where we understand those two organizations and what their goals are? I've been kind of thinking of the Alliance of Light series as like the Fionn Aerith series,
Mm.
because book 1, it
Yeah,
literally
he's been
starts with his
major.
birth.
Yeah,
So
that'd be interesting if like what's the last book in
I know Trader's Knot is 4, and then is it Black
Storm Fortress.
Bargain?
Black Bargain is a short
Storm
story.
Fortress.
Yeah, Storm Fortress. So that'll be the last one. So maybe that'd be interesting. Maybe that's where Fionn Aerith dies or something, and that kind of closes his story.
Mhm.
And then we get into the next arc. We'll see.
We'll see.
Man, we'll see.
All right. Do you have any other closing thoughts, things that you wanted to speak on?
I don't.
Any more knowledge bombs you want to drop?
Not that I know of. I don't think so. I was just glancing through my notes one last time, but I think there's just so many questions that I have moving forward, and I really want those answers, and I want more of the weird, creepy, like macabre magic stuff that Riot Raven dude was doing with the dragon skulls and the what. Like I want to see more of that, and how that meshes with the Alliance of Light. Like that seems so evil for the Alliance of Light to be doing. I don't know. And then all the stuff that we just talked about. There's so many threads going on. But somehow we can follow it. Like the way that she wrote the story, it just seems like it's like it doesn't require effort to keep up with it all. Like once you do the groundwork of Curse, then it's like, okay, now we can just kind of not coast. You have to pay attention and like think about it, but it's not crazy. So anyway, I'm just like really interested in where all those threads go. I guess that's my closing thought on this book is just like, wow, okay, what happens next kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here. I expect us to be talking about Peril's Gate in about 2 months' time, and for us to both be like, that was better than Grand Conspiracy.
Yeah.
That's my theory. That's the theory I'm most confident about, is that the next one will be better. And then the next.
Yeah.
And then
I'm feeling very confident. If we go this entire series and every book becomes the new favorite, that'll be
like, it'll be the first time for it to happen for me.
100% for me too. Yeah.
Yeah, like Malazan, I'll be honest, like Reaper's Gale was not as high as like Bone Hunters and Midnight Tides.
Yeah. I'm even my hot take is I still like Toll the Hounds like a lot more than Crippled God. And I think it's just because okay, well I feel better then. But it's like I'm curious on a reread if that'll hold up or not, or if I'll get more out of it. But anyway.
Toll the Hounds is my favorite Malazan book.
So good.
It's so good. Yeah. Yeah, this would definitely be the first. So we'll see if it just continues to build and build and build. And I don't know, after 5 that were each better, I mean, I guess after 4 that were each better than the book that came before, it's kind of built up my confidence that she can continue to do it and continue to, you know, outdo herself with each installment. So, and she's told me, she's like, I will continue to outdo each one. So I'm like, okay. She's confident, and I believe her.
I still remember the first time I ever talked to her. I think I hadn't even started the series yet, and she was just like, "You're gonna love it," and I stuck the landing, and it's fantastic. And I was just like, "I love you so much. This is the coolest thing." I want some of that confidence, but she's right. Damn it! Like she's like, these are good, and they keep getting.
There is not a shadow of a doubt in my mind that she won't stick the landing.
Right. Exactly.
Whether or not each book is better than the one that came before, with how much she has like promised that the ending will blow my socks off, I can't imagine that it wouldn't.
Yeah, same.
All right, man. Well, until next time. See you. Peace.
See you, everybody.